Hey, this is Greg McAfee, and welcome to the Greg McAfee Show. Now let's get started. And welcome back to the Greg McAfee Show, where we discuss steps to successful entrepreneurship, how to take your business to new heights, and ultimately follow your dreams. You know, we hear a lot about climate change today. For me, we hear too much about it, but that's another class. Today, I want to talk about climate change within your business. And there is a difference between culture and climate. And I might just, for today, say that both of those fall in the atmosphere of your business. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, because a business culture is your personality. A business has its own personality. Its values, its beliefs, and its ideas. And basically, it's how your team works together and how they take care of the customer. So I often relate to business culture as compared to a family culture. So if you are married and if you are fortunate to have both sets of parents, or at least you have both families still living, and you go to either Christmas or Thanksgiving at one family, Christmas and Thanksgiving at the other family, typically they're completely different. It's how you open presents. It's how you eat dinner. It's what you eat for dinner, and all those types of things. So the culture can be completely different in two different families, and then you come together and you have your own family, and that culture is probably going to be a mixture of both. So a business culture is the personality of the business. It's how we do business. And my culture is going to be completely different than your culture, and your culture is going to be completely different than your competition's culture. And that's a good thing. Nobody wants to be all the same. I mean, that would be boring. That's why I emphasize, do not copy off of your competitor. It does you no good. Your customer only thinks of them anyway. So business atmosphere that we're going to talk about today includes the physical characteristics of your business used to create an image to attract customers. And it's a direct contributor to the customer experience, your team experience, and your attitude towards your business. So that's the atmosphere. If you want to know more about the atmosphere of your business, ask your team. Or better yet, bring in a third party and have them ask your team, because you're going to get much better answers. You're going to get real answers, and you're going to get basically the truth if you want to hear the truth. So how old is your business culture? You know, how is the atmosphere, rather, or the climate getting stale? Does it need refreshed? Are you still doing things the way you've always done them? And there are some things that are black and white, you know, that we're going to, in the McAfee company, we have the McAfee way of doing business, and it's all about integrity, caring for people, culture, consistency, innovation, and team. That's not going to change. That's driven home with every new employee, even during the interview process. So that's not going to change. So, some of the things you do in business and need to change. Some of the things you do in business, how you act in business, need to change. Because things change very fast today. And over the last 2 weeks, we talked about the being faster, being nimble, being bold. So we know things are changing fast, at a faster pace than ever before. I mean, some have even said that things have changed more in the last 3 years than they have the last 30 years. So that's a lot of changing. And why wouldn't we want to or even believe that we need to change the atmosphere of our business? I mean, how long can you go without updating, changing, improving on anything? I don't think you can go very long and stay in business. Now, remember, what we talked about again last week was if you're happy competing with everyone, then I guess you can just keep going the way you're going. But if you're like me and you just like to win and you'd rather not compete, then you're going to constantly rock the boat, disrupt your industry, disrupt your market, and change. We do business as consumers. We do business with other companies. We do business with stores. We do business with, retail stores. We do business with restaurants. And, I just think of the atmosphere. Think about the atmosphere of a restaurant. I was talking to Travis, my son, this morning about some restaurants that we go to in the Dayton area that, they're old. They're just old restaurants, and they're old buildings. And that's what they're known for, and that's their atmosphere. And we like it. I mean, some of the places you go, you're going to get the best French fries in the world. You're going to get the best burgers, in the world, and in the world to us anyway. But we like that atmosphere. Now, if they were to start another restaurant somewhere and they didn't have that old feeling and that old look, and they wanted to start it in some space in a shopping center, it just would not be the same to anyone who's ever been there. So atmosphere is very important. Your culture creates your atmosphere. I really believe that. And innovation is a crucial component of your atmosphere if you have the growth mindset. We must develop a creative culture within our company as the business owner. We must be the creator. Yeah, you can bring other companies in and they can create their own ideas and they can create their own culture, but it's not yours. I mean, if that's the way you want to run your business, that's fine, but I'd rather create my own since it is my own business. Now, I want you to think about this. This is how much stuff has changed over the years. It used to be if you wanted a tailored suit, the only way to get one is to go to a tailor, and he or she would measure you, thoroughly measure you, and then they would produce a suit for you, and then you would buy it. Now today, you just get an app that takes a 3D image of your body, you upload it, and they send you a tailored suit at about half the cost, okay? It used to be if you needed a ride to a hotel from an airport, the only way there was to call a taxi or rent a car. Today, you just text Uber, and they'll be there. It used to be if you needed new blinds or curtains or coverings for your windows, the only way to do that was to call a company who would, maybe come out fast, maybe not. And they would come out and they'd measure all your windows, and then they would order them, and then they would install them. Today, you just get an app where you do all the measuring. They walk you through the entire process of measuring. You place the order. You pay for it in full. And relatively fast, it gets to you. And they even guarantee no mistakes. So if something doesn't fit, they'll remake it free. It used to be, in order to make a phone call, you used a landline phone or a pay phone. Today, everyone carries a phone. If you wanted to take a picture, you basically had to have a camera. Today, everyone carries one. If you're going on vacation and you wanted your family to stay somewhere, it used to be you either stayed in a family home or a friend's home, or you got a hotel. Today, there's Airbnb, there's VRBO, there's just many different ways of doing things. So DT Suzuki said something like this. He said, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are very few. Now, what I think he meant by that was, in the beginning, when you started your business, you were on fire, man. You know, you were enthusiastic and you were on fire to create this business and then make it work because everybody was telling you you couldn't do it. And then as you got more experienced in business and you became better at it for a longer period of time, then the possibilities and the opportunities weren't as many because you became extremely too comfortable. So what we're going to talk about today is ways to refresh your business atmosphere, okay? You know, if you're in heating and air conditioning, you understand the concept of air change. How many air changes do you need in a room per hour, and those types of things. By the way, you probably know this, maybe you don't, but airplanes, have the most air changes per hour than any quote building or place where people are, and those were the ones during COVID where you had to almost wear a double mask. But the air changed in an airplane multiple times per hour. All right, so let's talk about ways to refresh your business atmosphere, because it's time for some of you, and let's go over why. Number one, enthusiasm is contagious. Get your team on board, get them enthused as to why you're doing what you're doing. Maybe they don't know that. Maybe it's been years since you thought about it, rather. And number two, start a new fire. In the beginning, like I said, we have lots of hustle, we have lots of energy, and then somewhere in the 10 to 20 year range, things are running really smoothly by that time. And we become comfortable, and, we got to get our team together and come up with some new ideas, some new dreams, some new goals. It's inspiration to action. It inspires us to act. And number three, we need to amp up our marketing. Marketing's probably one that suffers the most. When things are going extremely well and we're extremely comfortable in our business, we just don't change our marketing up much. We don't advertise like we used to. We just really barely do because we're comfortable. We're making enough money. Things are going okay. We can take off when we want. All right, so we need to amp up our marketing. Is it doing anything for anyone anymore? That was my question. Is it doing anything for anyone anymore? Are you still in the phone book? Are you showing up anywhere? Bring in someone else to take a look at it too, by the way. I mean, some business owners, their expertise is not marketing, branding, and advertising. So if your expertise is not that, or you're not good at it at all, bring someone in. What I'm talking about here is bringing another set of eyes in to look at things, because we look at the same thing all the time and we get used to it and we don't know there's something wrong. But if you bring in another set of eyes, bring in another business person, let them walk through and give them permission to tell you what's lacking. But also, if you're not good at this part of the business, definitely hire someone who is. Find out in the industry who is really, really good at this, at building, your kind of business, whether it's HVAC or electrical or plumbing, or if it's landscaping or lawn care or roofing or home remodeling or whatever it is. By doing this, it will rejuvenate your entire business. by bringing in another set of eyes and looking at things and maybe hiring a company to look at it as well, your business is gonna change. It's just like gonna be new again. And a lot of you guys need something new again. You're stagnant. Some of you don't even like going in your office anymore because it's old and it just reminds you of work. I don't know. I'm only going by what you're telling me at times. When I coach people and, it's do you go in on Saturdays? Lord, no, I don't go in on Saturdays. I don't want to even be there on Monday through Friday. That's not a good thing, folks. It's time to refresh the atmosphere of your business. How old is your website? A website is only good for so long. Did you know today it's only good for 2 to 2.5 years? And then it needs a complete refresh. It needs completely updated and spruced up. And then after about 3.5 to 5 years, it needs completely changed. So websites don't last forever. It's old news. It needs updated. It needs changed. Remember, we've changed more in 3 years than we have 30. Change your website, update it, spruce it up a little bit. And also, an overall audit sometimes just needs to take place in your business. And I'm not talking about from the IRS. I'm talking about from someone who knows business, who can come in and look at everything. And I mean from your phones, how they're being answered, how your customers being scheduled, from where do your employees come in at, what do they see every day, what kind of uniforms are they wearing, what's your building look like, is it updated at all, or is it still what it looked like 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 50 years ago? How about your vehicles? Do they need a little update? Do they need a change? How about your company handbook? How old is it? And your software, etc. I could go on and on and on, but things need spruced up. Things need updated. Things need changed. Your employees will definitely appreciate it, but it'll change your company. Your customers will notice it. Your vendors will notice it. It'll help you to come in every day. And I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't come in every day. What I mean is it'll make for a much more productive place to come into. That's what I mean. Okay. I've heard people ask about doing complete brand changes. And I always have to say that's risky business and also very expensive. I am not a believer in a complete brand change unless that brand is completely dead. I mean, if you were to buy a company and it just needs, a complete change, that's one thing. But to start a company, if I started McAfee Heating and Air Conditioning like I did, and then all of a sudden in 10 years go, I need a complete brand change. That's scary, and I'd have to say that's pretty stupid because I did a really good job at building a brand the first 10 years. I wouldn't want to change that. So we must keep our existing brand recognizable before we jump off the cliff and want to change everything. Everything I've talked about so far is just sprucing up and refreshing the atmosphere of your business. So your brand has to be recognizable. It must allow your audience and your customers to better and easily connect with you. Could be the new website. Increase your brand awareness is a good thing. That can always be done. Where are you? Can anyone find you on social media? And when was the last post made on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that? I mean, if you're not going to keep up on that or have someone do it, don't have a site. It just really outdates you, and it probably makes anyone under 40 years of age go, this company's outdated. I don't want to use them. Create a more professional identity, which in turn increases your sales and profit. Your identity is so important. It's the perception the company sees first, your identity, who you are and what you do. And you should be, clean and neat and safe. And then what you're known as is extremely important. Known as, like I said in the McAfee way here, known for integrity, known for caring, known for taking care of people and customers. And so your professional identity increases sales and profit. What are you known for? And then, of course, if you want to refresh things, we need to tap into new markets. I mean, who haven't you tapped into? Maybe you only go a certain mile radius, and it's time to expand that. Maybe not, but it typically works well. When you expand your market, you're making a change. You're sprucing things up. You're maybe adding a truck or two, whatever that looks like. And what's even better is when there are always ways you can refresh your visual identity without a major overhaul. So you don't have to overhaul your whole entire new business, new look, to freshen up the atmosphere of your business. Change the air a little bit, okay? I hope these tips for refreshing a stale business atmosphere helps you get unstuck and back to refining, growing, building, pivoting, and enjoying your business again. I mean, it's hard enough to run a business when you love it. It's 10 times harder to run a business when you don't even like it anymore, okay? So it's time for some of you to refresh, rebuild, pivot, move, and enjoy your business once again. And I know it can feel overwhelming to even think about change for many of you, but that's how things happen, and that's how things improve. So take lean and small steps at a time, and taking bits of action will motivate and encourage you and your team and your customers and your community, which will bring back your obsession with business again, with growth again, and feeling good about doing it. So I hope this helps. I hope it helps you, your business, your team. A lot of times your team members have been waiting for this. You may have even lost some because they went with someone new and young and making things happen again. So I just want you to think about that. The climate change in your business needs to happen if it hasn't happened in a while. Okay? So before we wrap up, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe below. And you can also support this podcast by rating and reviewing it on iTunes or your preferred listening platform. Keep listening, and I'll do my best to challenge you and help you grow your business. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram or Facebook at The Greg McAfee Show. No spaces, no underscores. Be sure to tune in next week as we continue to talk about different ways to challenge you and help you grow your business. As always, thanks for listening. Carry on and have a great day.